Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Pack your bags, charge your phones, and set your alarm for something unusual, because the San Francisco 49ers are about to do something no NFL team has ever done before. They are flying to the other side of the planet to play a regular season game that actually counts. On September 10th, in the first ever NFL regular season game played on Australian soil. Brock Purdy and the 49ers are going to walk out onto the Melbourne Cricket Ground, one of the most storied sporting venues in the entire world, and open the 2026 season against the Los Angeles Rams in front of a sold-out Australian crowd that has been waiting for this moment for years. The NFL is going global. The 49ers are the ones carrying the flag. And the stakes of this single game, this historic, unprecedented, the whole world is watching moment, could not be higher. Let us establish exactly what this game represents before we break down a single competitive detail, because the magnitude of this moment deserves real acknowledgement before we get into offensive matchups and pass rush statistics. The Melbourne Cricket Ground has hosted the Australian Football League Grand Final. It has hosted cricket test matches. It has hosted Olympic ceremonies. It has hosted events that drew over 100,000 people to a single venue in a single day. And on September 11th local time, it is going to host an NFL regular season game for the first time in its long and storied history. In front of a crowd that is expected to be loud, passionate, and educated about American football in a way that would have seemed almost impossible to imagine just a decade ago. The NFL Australia office opened in 2022. The NFL APAC Academy launched in 2024. Australian fans have been watching, following, drafting players in fantasy leagues, and wearing jerseys for years. This is not a novelty act. This is the league's largest international market outside of the United Kingdom and Mexico, and the Melbourne game is the culmination of years of patient, dedicated organizational investment in this part of the world. For the San Francisco 49ers specifically, this game represents both an extraordinary opportunity and a genuinely significant logistical challenge. The 17-hour time difference between Melbourne and the West Coast means that while the game kicks off at 10:35 am local time on a Friday morning in Australia, it airs live Thursday evening at 5:35 p.m. Pacific Time in the United States. The travel from San Francisco to Melbourne involves a flight of roughly 15 to 16 hours, crossing the international dateline, and arriving with a circadian rhythm disruption that affects sleep, recovery, nutrition, and every other physical process that athletic performance depends on. This is not something any NFL team has navigated before in a regular season context. There is no established best practice. There is no veteran coaching staff that has done this specific thing and can draw on previous experience when making the decisions about how to manage the travel week, when to practice, when to rest, and how to structure the game day preparation routine. Kyle Shanahan has spent the final months of training camp and the entire preseason period working with the team's medical and performance staff to develop a specific Australia preparation protocol that accounts for the specific physiological demands of this travel situation. The approach reportedly involves a gradual time zone adjustment beginning approximately 10 days before the game, exposure to artificial light at specific times of day to begin resetting the player's circadian rhythms before the flight, and a structured activity schedule in Melbourne that balances the need for physical preparation with the equal need for adequate recovery from the travel itself. Whether that protocol produces the competitive readiness this team needs to perform at its genuine ceiling on September 10th is the single most consequential variable in this game that no amount of pre-game analysis can definitively predict. All teams use as fuel. The 49ers own the head-to-head history in recent seasons in a way that the Rams' championship pedigree sometimes obscures. San Francisco has beaten Los Angeles in genuinely significant games over the past several years, including playoff games and late-season divisional title-deciding matchups. The Rams are not a team the 49ers are afraid of. And the coaching staff under Kyle Shanahan has consistently demonstrated the ability to prepare specific game plans that create competitive problems for this specific opponent, regardless of the circumstances surrounding the matchup. The offensive matchup is the one that should generate the most genuine excitement, because this is the first time the fully assembled 49ers offensive weapon set. Mike Evans on the outside, Ricky Pearsall in the slot, George Kittle down the seam, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, Brock Purdy at quarterback with a freshly signed $228 million extension in his pocket gets to operate together in a game that actually counts. The Rams' defense with Myles Garrett and the existing pass rush talent is going to create legitimate problems for this offensive line. And the specific ability of Kyle Shanahan's pre-snap motion and play action designed to create hesitation in a defensive front that has to account for McCaffrey's receiving threat while also managing the jet. Motion and the tight end releases is going to be the central competitive question of how this offense performs. Mike Evans has been specifically discussed in the context of the red zone in every pre-camp interview and training camp report, and the specific matchup he creates against any cornerback the Rams deploy at the boundary is the one that defensive coordinators across the NFC have been losing sleep over since the moment the 49ers announced his signing. Evans at 6'5", competing for footballs in the back of the end zone against a cornerback who cannot match his size advantage is the specific play type that Kyle Shanahan has been missing in this offense for years. The Rams know this. They are going to deploy their best available coverage answer at Evans on every single snap he runs a route. And whatever coverage attention they direct at Evans is coverage attention that reduces what Pearsall and Kittle face on the opposite side of the formation. The defensive matchup creates its own genuine intrigue. The 49ers pass rush, with Nick Bosa entering this season healthy and ferocious from every training camp report, and Osa Odigizua transforming the interior in the specific ways the theoretical analysis projected, is going to face a Los Angeles Rams offensive line that protected Matthew Stafford at a consistently high level throughout the championship season. The Rams' ability to generate consistent points against every defense they faced last season reflects an offensive system and a quarterback who processes coverage at genuinely elite speed, and the specific challenge of containing Stafford while also accounting for the Rams' varied route combinations and the specific ways at him. Stanovich's concepts create crossing problems in zone coverage is exactly the kind of preparation challenge that Raheem Morris has been working through with this defensive group since training camp opened. Fred Warner is the most important defensive player in this specific matchup, not because his individual pass rushing contribution will be decisive, but because the specific coverage communication demands that Stafford's processing speed and his comfort attacking the middle of the field at multiple depths creates for a defensive back group require exactly the kind of pre-snap alignment and post-snap adjustment capability that Warner provides better than any linebacker in the NFC. When Warner is communicating coverage rotations at the speed and with the accuracy that his genuine elite performance demands, this defense gives itself a real chance to create the confusion and the disruption that limits what any quarterback can do regardless of their individual talent level. The Australia trip also presents one specific competitive advantage for the 49ers that deserves real acknowledgement. The Rams are designated as the home team for this game, meaning they made the same flight, they dealt with the same time zone adjustment, and they are navigating the same logistical challenges as San Francisco. There is no genuine home field advantage for Los Angeles at the Melbourne Cricket Ground beyond the paper designation. Both teams are equally unfamiliar with this environment. Both teams are equally affected by the travel. And in that specific context, the team with the better preparation protocols and the better travel management plan has a genuine competitive edge that the betting line is not fully accounting for. Kyle Shanahan is one of the most preparation-obsessed coaches in the NFL. His game planning process is renowned throughout the league for the specific level of detail applied to every competitive variable, including environmental and contextual factors that most coaching staffs treat as uncontrollable and therefore ignore. The possibility that Shanahan's specific preparation for the Australia experience is meaningfully better than Sean McVay's, and that the competitive edge from that preparation shows up in how both teams perform in the first quarter of a game being played at an unusual local time against an unusual competitive backdrop, is not something the 2 5-point betting line has specifically priced in. The pregame narrative around this game has been dominated by the Rams' championship pedigree and the off-season additions that make them the betting favorite. That narrative is the fuel this team needs to walk out of the tunnel at the Melbourne Cricket Ground and deliver the first genuinely memorable moment of the 2026 NFL season. Brock Purdy, signed long-term, armed with the best collection of weapons any Kyle Shanahan offense has ever fielded, making a statement in the most historic game this league has ever played on an international stage. Niner faithful, the Melbourne game is less than 10 weeks away, and we want your boldest predictions right now. Does San Francisco cover the 2 5-point spread and win the first NFL game in Australian history? Which individual player, Evans, Pearsall, Kittle, Bosa, or Odigizua, has the single most impactful individual performance of the game? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about waking up Thursday evening to watch the 49ers play football in Australia? Drop everything you have got in the comments section below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel because we are going to be covering every single development between now and September 10th. Let's go Niners!